Eh? Eh? Hello and welcome to Star Wars Obsessed. I had a request from a viewer slash subscriber, Greg Armstrong, to do a tour of my room, of my collection, and this is what I'm going to do. Okay, these are, I collected some Star Wars comic books and from my childhood. This was given to me by a friend, the model set. I believe this year, actually 2018 is when I got those. The puffy stickers, I had them since I was, since 1983. And the Kabe and Muftak, or Cabe, is it Cabe or Kabe? I don't know. I got those in the 90s. And then this one's interesting because it is signed by Princess Android. And it's hardware special edition. I actually met her, so that was pretty cool. So this shelf, I have the original blaster, Han Solo's blaster, but it's Return of the Jedi. One day I'd love to get the Star Wars, and this is this is upside down. Fan Club Micro Machines, and I backed the barge. So here's the book. And this is the collector's case. Calendar, what year is this? 1990 calendar. And up here, more vintage stuff. This is the original skiff that I had since the 80s. Got this in the 90s. This is during the time, what they call the dark time of collecting, when Kenner wasn't really producing a lot of toys, and the only kind of things we can get was this. And this is what am I trying to say? Fan Club exclusive. Got this in the 80s, and I think it was given to me by a friend back in that day. This is another thing I collected during the dark times. I was desperate to collect and had to get this. This was given to me by a friend who's decided to sell his collection. Actually, it wasn't given to me. I bought it from him in the early 2000s, late 2000s, I believe. And he was selling his collection, so I had to get this. And this is the Bendums from the 90s. This is the figure. When I decided to start collecting figures again, I chose to just do figures that by figures based on characters that were never produced in the 80s. So this is one of those. Right here. Okay, and up here we have more vintage collections. This is given to me by a friend back in 1988, and he didn't want his collection anymore, so he decided to give it to me. Same with the Wampa in the back. The books, I got these books, but he also gave me the Tauntauns. All the action figures I purchased myself. He didn't give me the action figures. He just gave me all the play sets and the play sets and the, you know, these and the Wampa, but no action figures. So I had to get them all myself. This is something I got in the 80s. I got this in the 80s. More things from the 80s. I remember getting this in 83. This was given to me by my friend, same friend who gave me this. I purchased this in the 80s. Now this I got a few years ago because I wanted to, you know, add to my display, but unfortunately, as you can see, it's faded. So obviously it was cheap. It was crap. I want to buy other ones, but I'm just afraid it's going to happen again, fade again. I don't want to waste my money, so I'm keeping these up here just because you still kind of see it. It still kind of looks cool, I guess. All right, going up here, another probe droid from another toy from the 90s. This one is from my original collection in the 80s. This one I purchased from my friend who's selling his collection, same guy who sold me the Darth Vader collector's case. I got this back in the 80s, the A-Wing, and this is more current right there. That one is, I think, some of these, I've gotten so many things and I can't totally remember where I got them all. So I don't remember where I got that book. It may have been given to me by the same person who gave me that Darth Vader. Up on top there, I decided to get the Luke Skyhopper vehicle, which is pretty cool. And then I have, sorry about the ceiling fan going, it's very warm. So that's the Star Wars Galaxy collecting cards, and you can see the Star Wars trilogy on VHS, and another Star Wars trilogy on VHS. And this is something I got in at the 99-cent store. And then you have the pop-up book, the Star Wars pop-up book. Let me put this back up here. All right, coming back down here. Okay, more 99-cent store stuff. This was given to me by a friend for my birthday. Apparently somebody donated this to a thrift store. So he got it for me, and I now proudly have it in my collection. This is another one, another item given to the thrift store. Okay, a few books given to me by a friend. Purchased this. This is a really cute book. Okay, going up here. This took me 3 years to get together to collect, because the Danbury Mint only sent 2 at a time, so it took a total of 3 years to finally collect. And I wanted it, but I don't know. I think I was just. It was at a time when there wasn't a lot of Star Wars to collect. And I said, if they ever do a Star Wars chest, I'm going to, a good Star Wars chest, not that crappy plastic kind that was at Toys R Us. If they ever did a Star Wars chest, I would collect it. Not that I ever played chess, so I don't understand why I was so gung-ho in getting this. Now, the thing is, I may end up boxing this away because I'm going to need space for my barge. And I'm going to have to move certain things, like I may move this and put it there, which means I need to move that and put it away. So maybe I can find a different place for it. I don't know. We'll see. But I have to start making plans to figure out where I'm going to put the barge. All right, so over here, moving up, I collected the plates. That's some pretty good art. And then on this side of the shelf right here, there are some figures. Again, figures I decided to collect because they weren't produced back in the 80s during Kenner's time. I just thought this was really cool because I like the cape. The Bendhams, another character not produced before, another character not produced, so I wanted those. I put my extra figures in this shadow box. and I got the Luke and Leia right there from the Star Wars fan club. And then when The Force Awakens came out, I wanted to get that because it looks very retro, very Star Wars, classic Star Wars. And then, let's see, how about here? Oh, the poster, this classic poster. And then over here, even more plates. But I ended up not completing the plate collection because it just, it eventually got too costly. It's a postcard that I got somewhere, I don't remember. And let's see, which way should we go? How about here? So that I got, as you can see, it's pretty much, well, it's not opened. And I purchased that at Toys R Us. I apparently had enough money to get an extra one at the time. And then all my Star Wars lunch boxes with the thermos. Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, and then some current lunch boxes. Okay, coming down here, here's my classic X-Wing with the vintage Luke Skywalker and the X-Wing pilot, and here's a more current A-Wing from the Force Awakens. It's either the Force Awakens or the Force Awakens or the Last Jedi, one of those. And this is Poe Dameron's boosted X-Wing from the Last Jedi. And back there are the Ralph McQuarrie concept figures of Han Solo, Luke Starkiller Hero, Chewbacca, and R2-D2 and C-3PO. And this is another card I got from the fan club, Star Wars fan club, back in the 80s. And this is a lenticular. I'm wondering if I could do this on camera. Let's see. I'm going to take this off. See, I'm going to move it. Let's see if it'll show on camera. Is it showing on camera? It's Darth Vader fighting Luke in Return of the Jedi. Alright, I'll just set that down right here. Alright, so going down, I have the original Hoth Micro collection. And is this an extra one? Not an extra one. Okay, so the original Hoth Micro collection, and the other part of the Hoth Micro collection is right here. So the whole Hoth Micro collection, the Rebel transport, the Rebel radar dish, the little collectible pieces that came with the Rebel transport, and then my collection of Force Awakens and Last Jedi figures. And then going down, I have more Last Jedi figures as well as the original from the Sonic Land Speeder that I procured recently, and I'm trying to find out how I can fix it. Over here I have these lightsabers. This is the original one from 1983. As you can see, it has a few dents in it. You can see it up close. You can see these dents, and this dents right here. That's because a friend of mine and I would actually play back in 1983 with these, and actually sometimes kind of hit too hard. I would get very upset about it, so I think we eventually stopped playing because I didn't like that it was causing problems. But it makes a noise. Alright, this one I got at Disneyland, and this one is the build your own lightsaber. I don't know if they still do that at Disneyland. It was in Star Trader, but it was all in pieces, and you just had to get the pieces together and build your own. It was pretty cool. What are you doing?
I was looking to see if it still has, so you can see there.
Yeah, it comes with Kyber crystal, and it determines the color of your blade. All right, one of these days, I'm going to figure out some kind of hook system to put up here because I want to basically display the lightsaber like this. But I haven't been able to figure it out yet, so we'll see. Because I don't like them just sitting there on the floor like this. This is a poster drawn by Drew Struzan, and it's actually signed by Drew. Let's see. Move this out of the way. Okay, there's an actual signature by Drew, and it's numbered. I got this at Disneyland as well, at the Star Trader. And the original towel, Star Wars towel. And this is the Classic Edition 4-pack of reproduction figures. But would these be called repro as we think of them as repro? Or are they official figures because they were released officially? That is the question. And okay, keeping it down here, just a bunch of figures that I have in my collection, and I'm looking at what figures I could put in the barge. Like, I know there's Bosk in the barge, so I could put him on the barge. So I'm just looking through all of these to determine what I'm going to use. And just a few empty boxes down there for you know, my collections that's actually up there. So from the 80s, Revenge of the Jedi, these things you get in with your toys. Just, you know, buttons that I've had since the 80s. Down here, the pails I got for the release of The Last Jedi. All these. And this is a second collector's case that I got. This is the one I got when I purchased the blue Snaggletooth. And back there, I just have okay, this puzzle, the blocks, all these things I just got recently, and the Battle at Sarlacc Pits game with the sail barge. Huh. Something's happening there. Alright, let's put this back. Okay, moving up. Here's another one of the shelf talkers that I got, and it faded. I don't know why it's faded. I don't have sunlight in here, but it's apparently very cheap. So the original Desert Sail Skiff I've had since the 80s, and the original Droid Factory complete that was given to me by my friend back in 1988, who decided to give up his whole collection. This one is the Imperial Attack Base that I got for Christmas one year from my father, and this is another Hoth Wampa that was given to me by the same person who gave me that. And this I purchased myself recently, probably about a year or two ago, when I decided I want to try and get more vintage collection added. And this is not the rare Jabba the Hutt dungeon, but it is one of them. A more updated version of the probe droid. Okay, moving up. And here are the last 17. Here's the Han Solo with carbonite, so that goes right here. My last 17, all the last 17 right here. Okay, panning up, we now have the Ewok Village with all the Ewoks. And this is my original Ewok Village from 1983. And this is the Ewok Combat Glider, another item that I purchased from my friend who decided to sell his collection, as well as this. This was actually purchased by Gary, and he gave it to me for Christmas because I was just like, I don't know if I want to buy this. My friend was selling it for $30, and I decided it's a bit too steep. And then one Christmas, it happened to be under the tree. So thank you, Gary. So the Ewoks, all the pieces are complete for the Ewok village. Through the years, I've just been procuring more and more figures because I felt it looked better having figures populate the playsets rather than just the playset itself. And here's the original AT-AT, and it's in fine working condition. And here's R2-D2, the sail barge, the bartender R2-D2 that I'm going to use for Jabba's sail barge. And here is Jabba, and the original Jabba playset that I got back in 1983, and complete with the denizens that may or may not end up on the barge, because the barge is going to be right here. Actually, this is the only place I have to put the barge, so I need to think of where I'm going to put all of these things. Now, I've already said that the chess set is going to leave, and that will most likely go right there. But where I'm going to put all of these things is going to be a challenge. One of the things that I do plan on doing is moving some of the ships that I have on the shelves up to the ceiling. So I'm going to have them hanging on the ceiling. So this is the sand crawler that I got recently. That works fine. I would be nice if it would work better, but it works fine. It's complete. It moves. The remote works, but it's hard to get it to turn and so forth. This is my original Death Star Space Station playset that I had to buy myself back in, I think, I was late in purchasing this, and I got it probably in 84, 85, and I had to put it on layaway. I went to the store, there's like a little mom and pop store, and I found it on layaway, and I found it at the store, and I said, oh, I want this really bad. But being a kid who does not, without a job, I was only living on allowance, so I had to use my allowance to keep paying it. I think it took a month or two, something like that, to finally get it. So I was very happy after I got it. So this is my original, complete, even with the rope and the Dianoga. I don't have the foam because the foam just completely degraded. My gun is broken. It will not stay in here, but that's okay. And these are the Leias that I recently made the reproduction capes, and they look really good. Alright, moving up there, those are the patches that I got through the Star Wars fan club, and these are the vintage collections that came out a few years ago. Okay, coming over here, okay, go up here. So I got this recently. I talked about this in a video, and these are recent figures. This I got in the 90s, this 90s AT-AT, that works just fine. And I got this recently that I've also featured in a video. And I got it complete even with those figures. Now, one thing that I decided to do was take the instruction sheets. The instruction sheets that came with the vehicles and playsets, and I decided to frame them. As you can see, if we go across like this. Because I noticed that they had value to people and they had increased in value, so I decided to protect them. Not that I intend to sell them anytime, but I figured that this is a really good way to just protect them and keep them in really good condition. So going back down, that's the record for the Empire Strikes Back story that I just put in a frame. And here's my B-Wing. And so, for example, like the B-Wing, I may end up putting it up there, up hanging from the ceiling. So I'll have space to move things here, and then I'll have space to put the other stuff elsewhere. So all of this is, I'm probably gonna have to do a third room tour after I get the barge, because a lot of things gonna move. This is another piece from the 90s, the metallic cards. This is the Empire Strikes Back set. They're very cool looking. And an ornament that looks like the lunchbox. Alright, I am going to open this so there's no reflection. I might have to move stuff. Ugh. Okay. Alright, here is... I got this C-3PO at the Starlog Salute Star Wars 10th Anniversary Convention. It only cost me 20 bucks. This I got from my friend back in 1988 who decided to just give up his whole collection. This is this Luke I had since childhood. I believe I got it in 1979. And this is Ben Kenobi is what I got. It's basically I gotten a lot of figures recently. And this I had this sharpener, R2-D2 sharpener I got in the 80s. And this I had since the 80s. This one's more recently. My original Biker Scout and speeder bike from the 80s. And this is Luke on a speeder bike from the 90s. Okay, down here, my original collector's case. If you get a little bit closer there, you can see that it's worse for wear. I carried that thing around with me a lot. I played with my figures. I played with my figures with my friends. And this is what happened to my collector's case. All my original figures from the 80s are here. And this is that free display stand that all you needed was proof of purchase to get. Down there. Oops, I'm knocking things over. The Star Wars 8-track tape was donated to the thrift store my friend works at, so he gave that to me. Then all of these more 90s, those are the 90s. And these are the more current, like 2000s collection. These I got, honestly I don't remember when I got these. I don't know. Some of the things I just bought, I don't know why. But it's there. And down here is my R2-D2 telephone and my Darth Vader speakerphone. And I actually used the R2-D2 telephone. I loved it. Whenever it rang, the R2-D2's head would swivel and it would make R2-D2 noise. And I loved it. Let's stay down here. So, other things. So I got the solo cups from Denny's. And these I actually got at Book Off recently. All of these when they had a really cool collection of all of these figures that I never had. And then the 99-cent store had puzzles, so I got those. I'd love to do the puzzles, but I had no space to actually do puzzles. The Micro Machines I got in the 90s, and this other Micro Machines I got in the 90s. So I was collecting when I wanted to collect. Because back in the 90s there wasn't a lot. Until the mid 90s, actually. Okay, let's put these back up. And then this is a more recent collection, the vintage collection. And the Star Wars Trilogy music soundtrack. Oh, I got this. These are my Presto Magics from the 80s, and I decided to frame it because it looks better that way. It's a better way to display it. My original Revenge of the Jedi poster. And I got this for this figure because this is actually seen in Jabba's barge in Return of the Jedi. So I'll open this when I get my barge. And I have two more lightsabers. This one I got in the 90s. This is the Luke Skywalker's lightsaber. And this one I got recently, the Darth Vader lightsaber I got recently from a family member who had it in his collection for some reason, or had it in his house for some reason, and he just decided to give it up. Again, I want to put some kind of hook or hanging system up there to put my lightsabers, to display them better. But I haven't found anything or figured out what to do. If anybody has any suggestions on how I can hang these lightsabers, please let me know in the comments below. I would really appreciate it. Alright, so swing over here. The original Don Post Darth Vader mask. I got that back in 1983, 85, somewhere around there. And I actually wore this for Halloween one year. I actually had a really cool cape, and I just put everything together using cardboard to create the Darth Vader costume. My original card game. These are more current figures. This is current C-3PO, as you can see. The radio-controlled R2-D2. This one I featured in a video as well. And these are Star Wars cookies that I featured in a video as well. And I still have the cookies in there. And they smell really bad. The TIE Interceptor, and I have a request from Dark Lord. He actually wants me to talk about the TIE Interceptor, so in a video, coming up video, I'll have to feature the TIE Interceptor. And these are just the survival gear, survival kit that came in mail away. You just give them the proof of purchases and you get it. A Han Solo book, panning down, some more collections. My original Slave 1 with Han Solo and Carbonite, comic book, this game. This game I did not have as a childhood. I just decided to get it because I found it on eBay for cheap. So I decided to buy it. 99-cent store. I think these are Hot Wheels. Hot Wheels figure vehicles. 99-cent store. $1. These are $1. How can you beat that? And these are 90s. This is a remote control that actually works. This is another one from the 90s. Face panning down. This is the only this is the only thing from my collection that is original from 1983. This one I got from my friend who was selling his collection a few years ago. And these I decided to purchase on eBay because I basically wanted to complete the mini rig collection. And they look fabulous. And here is the plush Wicket that I did not get, but my sister got. And since that my sister got. And so basically it's become part of my collection. And I suppose if she ever wants it back, she can get it back. But why would she do that, right? Now, this is the Millennium Falcon action figure collector's case. And back there is the Empire Strikes Back portfolio with the art from Wild from Macari. And the original large size Stormtrooper with the weapon. And you got the video games, Star Wars Nintendo game, the 32X, and the Micro Machines. Hey, thanks for watching Star Wars Obsessed. If you like this video, then give it a thumbs up and click subscribe. Also, click on that bell icon to be alerted to new videos. You can also check out more of my collection at the Star Wars Obsessed blog.